Ladies and gentlemen, good day, and welcome to Vardhman Special Steels Limited Q3 and 9-month FY21 earnings conference call hosted by IIFL Capital Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Urul Bhatt from IIFL Capital. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Nirav. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of IIFL Securities, I welcome you all to Vardhman Special Steels Limited 3Q FY21 results conference call. From the management, we have Mr. Sachit Jain, Vice Chairman and MD, and his team. Over to you, Sachit, for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Urvil, and good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming to our call, our Q3 call today, this afternoon. With me on this call, we have Mr. Sanjeev Singla, our CFO, Sonam Taneja, our Company Secretary and Compliance Officer, Mr. Mukesh Srivastava, our COO, and we have a surprise out here with Soumya, my daughter, the fourth generation of the business family, is also on the call. And in addition, we have, of course, Bridge, our investor relations team. So I'm happy to report we had a decent quarter in Q3. The results are a little better than our forecasted range. EBITDA per ton, we have revised the range now upwards to 5,000 to 7,000 as a normal EBITDA per ton. And this quarter has been a bit higher. In addition to EBITDA, we are adding now a second performance parameter, return on capital employed, and we report it as EBITDA on total capital employed. And our first target will be 16%. This year, we hope to cross 14%, but 16% will be our first target, then 18%, and then 20%. So by 2025, we hope to reach 20%. At present, we are running at full capacity. The demand in third quarter has been very strong and continues to be strong in the fourth quarter. Impact of COVID seems to be normalizing. All businesses seem to be, more and more businesses seem to be opening up, which means the economy is definitely doing better than before. In the overall market situation, commercial vehicles have been a little behind, but they seem to also be picking up. And demand, overall demand is robust. So we are expecting a strong fourth quarter also in terms of volume. However, on the negative side, raw material prices have shot up dramatically the last couple of months. This has happened globally. And because of that, we expect our fourth quarter performance to be below our third quarter. But at this point, we are also asking our customers for an interim price increase because all commodities have gone up sharply. Steel prices have gone up dramatically. So we are asking our customers that normally, as you are aware, our price setting is every 6 months. But we are asking our customers for an interim price increase from January. And that, of course, discussions are on. I think one OEM has already given some price increase. Others are in the process of examining it. So we are likely to get some price increase. Even if we get no price increase at all, we will still be in the profit zone in the fourth quarter. But as I said, much lower than third quarter. If we get a price increase, then fourth quarter should be definitely, may not be much worse, may not be significantly worse than the third quarter. But all depends on the quantum of price increase. As regards our partners, Aichi, working with them is going on fine. As we said earlier, 2021 is the year of preparation in terms of quality levels. We've lost some time last year because of COVID that our Japanese partners had to go back to Japan. We've been working with them through Zoom calls, emails, and so on. But there are limitations because of that. And we are expecting our Japanese full-time people to come in by January end or first week of February. And then we hope to meet our targets on quality levels. Sampling orders have come in from various Japanese customers in Thailand and Philippines. They're on track for that. So 2022 is when we start seeing business coming up with them. The other area, of course, is expansion of capacity. So we are working with the Ministry of Environment, and it depends on them, but we hope in the next few months to get clearance for expansion of our capacity from 200,000 tons of melting to 280,000 tons. Overall, company is doing well. The morale of the people is very strong. Motivation is very strong. In this COVID times, I think we've been able to build our teams much stronger together. We are feeling optimistic about the way the future is looking. And the other question our analysts and investors have been asking us is our investment plan over the next 5 years. So that is still being formulated, but a rough idea we have now from with our Japanese partners. It will be between 150 to 170 crores over the next 5 years, including normal capex, including replacement capex, including safety investments regarding safety, investments regarding quality, and capacity expansion projects. So those are the kind of money we are looking at. Some of these investments will have payback on their own. So those are things that will come up in due course. And we hope in the next quarter to finalize more details, and therefore we shall have a more precise number. At this point, I will stop my opening remarks and ask Sajid Singla to go through some financials, and after that, we are open to taking questions. Singla, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. During this quarter, we have achieved total sales volume of 45,964 tons, and year-on-year growth of 45%. And in terms of revenue in rupees, it's at 287 crore, which reporting at a growth of 53%. Mainly because one is because of the increase in volumes by 45%, and the remaining is because of the increase in price which we have received from the customers from 1st October 2020. Apart from this, other income is continuing to support the bottom line and is adding good numbers. In other income, there are two main incomes. One is interest income received on FDR funds which we have received from IT last year. And secondly, this year we have deposited advanced electricity bill up to March 2021. And on that, there was a scheme from the State Electricity Board that they will be giving us interest at the rate of 1% per month. So resulting all this, our EBITDA including other income during the quarter is 42 crores, and year-on-year growth of 400%, more than 400%. And during this quarter, the EBITDA margin is 9,300 rupees a ton, which is beyond our guidance of normal range. Last range, which was 4,500 to 6,000 rupees, and last quarter it was revised to 5,000 to 7,000 rupees a ton. And the net profit stands at 21 crores as against 1.81 crores last year. So that's all on performance side. And now I request for the questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Dhaval Joshi from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, sir. Thanks for the opportunity and congratulations for the good set of numbers.
Thank you,
Sir,
Sameer.
couple of questions from my side. Though you have said, the increase in the, your negotiations with your OEMs is going on, automakers are going on for increase in the contract price. How much, increase required in terms of, realizations part do you see to offset the cost, given the higher HRC prices, higher product raw material prices of last quarter? So can you give us on some guidance on that?
Just 1 minute. Chai please. We have asked our OEMs for a price increase of about 7,500 rupees at the interim level, because the cost increases from product to product is very different. So the cost increase in the range of 10 to 12,000 rupees a ton. That's the cost increase. However, that is as far as spot prices are concerned. And then each company will have its own levels of inventory and so on. And the prices also increased over time. It's not that it suddenly increased to 12,000 by 12,000. So we've been purchasing at various levels and also seeing the commodity increase. But we did cover a little bit more than our consumption. So it is we don't share what numbers we have covered. I think the spot prices overall, the cost increase is around 10 to 12,000 rupees per ton based on, product to product.
Got it. And you have asked for 7,500 per ton sort of increase in the realization.
Yeah, that's the rough range, 7,000 to 7,500 rupees. We've asked what we get. Anyway, and we need to understand that this is not due to us, because the price settlements are for 6 months purpose.
Yeah.
So the real increase is due from 1st April, but because of unprecedented increase in raw material and the dramatic increase in commodity steel prices, we have asked, and the indication we have got from most customers is that they understand the situation and they're willing to look at some reasonable numbers. And some customers who are not linked to OEMs, etc., or even who are linked to OEM, have started giving interim increases. So a figure below what we are asking, but a reasonable number, irrespective of whether the OEM gives the price increase or not. So those kind of things have also happened. We are in a state of flux at this point. But as I said, that we believe that even without any increase, we will still be in the profit territory for fourth quarter.
Yeah. But per ton benefits will be not as high as the current level of, if at all, assuming that price increase will not happen then.
Yes, of course. We already indicated that in the past also, that fourth quarter will be below third quarter. We already indicated that. But depends on what price increase we get. So very difficult at this point to predict that. The only thing we can say is if we get 7,000, we will match or cross this quarter. But and without 7,000, we will still be in profit zone. So we are somewhere in between that at this point.
Okay. And sir, just basic question. Wanted to understand from you. What is the problem or what is the issue with the your automakers, car makers to have a quarterly contracts where they also enjoys better pricing, or they also
The reason for this is I guess that too much time gets wasted in negotiation. So once you fix a price and when it is reasonably clear, it is cost basis and so on. So with a lag, you anyway get the benefit, or you pass on the benefit with a lag.
That's the only thing. No other.
I doubt there's any other reason, because this industry has been going very well. Only this is the first time in my 10 years that we are seeing this kind of unprecedented increase. I mean, within 2 months, the price increase was this much. I mean, I remember one time in a week's time, the domestic scrap went up by 3,000 rupees a ton in 1 week. So this is a crazy time.
And I mean, how do you see the trend for next 2 quarters, especially from your large customer in terms of its order book has been pretty strong in terms of back-to-back orders are still getting.
We only get some kind of indications. We don't have firm order books and so on. So this fourth quarter, current quarter we are in, is the volume is very strong. We are not able to meet the requirement.
Okay.
Yeah, and so demand is very strong, and as of now, the indication for next quarter is also not too bad. So nobody sees a contraction starting for the next quarter. But
Q1, you are saying Q1.
Yeah, Q1 also. So and Q1 very clearly we will have the price increases from 1st April. Whether we have it from 1st Jan or not, we don't know at this point. But from 1st April, we anyway get the price.
And so last one, what is the net debt at this levels?
Net debt would be around 250 crores roughly. Singla, can you answer that question, please?
Yes, it is 250 crores.
Oh, it is 250 crores. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next question is from the line of Dhaval Shah from Girik Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, hi, sir. So a couple of questions. The first is that, as you mentioned, we have visibility of orders from the OEMs, and we're seeing a good pickup in the auto cycle also. But from the past learning, what we saw in 2018-19, I mean, how do we, kind of be better placed in terms of, if there is again a slowdown situation emerging? How are we, how are we preparing ourselves in terms of protecting volumes, margins better, given we have a Japanese partner also? So any sort of more focus on exports to hedge the loss in volumes in the domestic side?
So from 2020, as I said in the opening remarks, from 2022 onwards, our exports to the Japanese tier ones and Japanese OEM-based business in Southeast Asia will begin. Okay. Sampling is already has begun, and there'll be more sampling orders coming in 2020 in this year. So from 2022 onwards, we are fairly protected with our export business picking up. Okay. So if at all, the risk, so to speak, of volume is only for this calendar year.
This calendar year.
This calendar year, or I may say, at best to financial year 21-22.
Achha.
In any case, volumes for the first quarter of this year are very strong, and as of now, even Q1 of the next year is okay. So then you begin into Diwali quarter, which anyway remains strong. So in all probabilities, the risk at all of a volume slowdown. Again, these are all just my ideas. There's no way of being sure. When somebody like Rajiv Bajaj says he doesn't know where sales will happen. So I guess the risk, if at all, would be only Q3 and Q4. The second half of next year will be some risk, but by that time we expect heavy commercial vehicles to pick up. Two, component demand is picking up. So export of components which requires our steel. So that is going strong also. So that may overshadow the drop in demand if at all.
Acha. So this so two questions. First is so you said we are almost at full capacity for third quarter. We did some 46,000 tons.
Yeah.
So 2022 when we start exports, how much to start with? What sort of volumes are we expecting in the export side?
It's very difficult to say exactly, but over the next 5 years, our target is 50 to 70,000 tons of exports.
Over 5 years, okay.
By 24, 25, we'll be at that level.
Okay. And sir, the other question is you mentioned about the export of components happening out of India. Now, that is something which is, is it because of this change in supplier by the customer, or what is the reason you see?
So see, again, we are one level removed. So let's just ask this question from the component exporters. But my reading is, as the larger OEM and the big tier ones are looking at diversifying their supply chain a bit from China. So China plus strategy would mean that people are looking at India little more positively than what they were looking at it in the past.
Okay. Yes. And sir, as the commercial vehicle sales...
And sorry, one more thing. And there also seems to be a commercial vehicle upsurge in North America and so on. So there's a demand. Some of our customers, like GNA Axle, for example, who exports parts for trucks in North America, their demand is very strong.
Correct. We spoke to them. Correct. They mentioned.
Yeah. So their demand is strong, which means again, so we are indirect exporters. So our demand for us is also strong.
And sir, in India also, as more commercial vehicle trucks are sold, so your volumes logically should be higher. Am I correct?
No, so we don't sell much to commercial vehicles.
We are more of
in
PV.
India. We are cars and two-wheelers.
Cars and two-wheelers. Okay.
Primarily. And so whatever commercial vehicle business that we have is indirectly through customers like GNA Axle for exports, and for some customers like Sona, BMW, which go into supply to all products.
Correct.
Or Shriram Piston, customers like them. So yes, if commercial vehicles improve, we will get some spin-off from that, but not too huge an impact.
And so this PLI scheme which government has floated, so can you give some thoughts on this?
Unfortunately, it doesn't cover our product category, and which is surprising because it has some commodity steels also covered in it. And specialized steels, they've got a segment of special steels, but they haven't covered automotive steels. So we have, as a steel industry, as ASPA, Roy Steel Association, we have represented to the ministry that this is a big lapse that has happened, and it needs to be covered. Let's see. I mean, the steel ministry seems positive, but as of now, we are not covered.
Understood, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Tushar from Athena Investments. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I was going through your presentation and I wanted to understand, what you mentioned on page 31, that you will start making advanced steel for auto. So what kind of product would this be? I mean, it also mentioned something about setting up a forging facility. If you can throw some more light on this.
All those things are, first of all, advanced. When you talk about advanced steel, so when you are making steel for Toyota and Toyota requirements, you need newer grades of steel and better qualities of steel than what is being used in India at this point in time. Also, Maruti, for example, today, even now imports some steels, which are specialized steels, which it doesn't source from India. Those are the kind of products that we hope to make in our facilities with the help of our collaborators. So that gets covered. And when we talk of forging, etc., those are all in the future, in due course, because our partners are already they are the strongest forging company in the world. So, and they have a desire eventually to put up a forging plant in India. So those are the kind of other things that can happen in the future. But that is a futuristic thing, and it's not something that is happening today or next year.
So I had one question on this. So when you say steel for auto, is it not HR coils?
No. This is the same bar. What we are doing today, bar.
Okay.
Alloy steel bars that we are making today. So the focus is more and more on cars in the future and less on So two-wheelers will remain in India and maybe a little bit for export. But really, when we are saying 50 to 70,000 tons of export that we're looking at, that is mostly cars and some for trucks.
Okay. And my second question, sir, was on this, you plan to increase ROC. So,
Yes.
how do you reach that goal? Would you be increasing EBITDA per ton or?
So EBITDA per ton, anyway, we have said that we have already upped our guidance to, as I said, 5 to 7,000 rupees a ton, and we've also said that in another couple of years we'll raise this guidance upwards again. We are waiting for two events to kick in. One, our expansion to get okayed from the Ministry of Environment. Once that happens, and the second, once the Japanese business starts. So when these two events start, our EBITDA per ton will go up further, and then we will revise the range from the current new range of 5 to 7,000. We'll revise it upwards. Maybe it'll go to 6 to 8, or maybe even a little bit more. We'll see at that point in time. But we'll definitely revise it upwards in about 2 years' time. So one is EBITDA going up per ton. Second, volume will go up. And third, we are working on our capital employed. So our net capital employed, you will see by 31st March, we plan to have a reduction in net current assets from the current levels. And we plan to keep a very tight check on that. So it's a combination of volume, EBITDA per ton, and reduction of net current assets.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Very informative presentation and
Thank you.
Very transparent for shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Ratish Warrior from Sundaram Mutual Funds. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. So just a couple of questions. First question, pardon me if you would have answered that. With respect to PLI, do you see any opportunity in this segment for us? And if that comes, and if yes, what capex guidance you're talking about in your initial 5-year plan, can that be revised in accordingly?
So as of now, as I said, our segment, the entire segment that we are in, is not covered in the PLI. And this is a gross mistake made from the ministry at some level. So there is a realization that there has been a big lapse, and there is an attempt to include our sector. So once that gets included, then of course we are covered, but as of now we are not covered. And to answer your second question, no, all our investments are already in line for exports, so nothing will change.
Okay. So just one more question, some data keeping question. For this 9 months and this quarter, what is the mix for us? You mentioned something we supply as indirect export. So between domestic, indirect export, two-wheeler.
We don't have those numbers. We don't track those numbers. We just have a general idea that customers like GNA Axle, for example, produces axles for exports, but they also make axles for domestic market. Then Sona produces for domestic market and exports. We don't track all those things separately. Each of our customers produces some for domestic market and some for export. We do know that they are producing for exports, but what proportion and so on, we don't track it that way.
Okay, and two-wheeler will be what percentage of our business currently?
Two-wheeler should be around 30%. Singla?
Yeah, 33% is a two-wheeler and about 35% is passenger vehicles.
Yeah.
And remaining?
Remaining is off-highways and commercial vehicles and tractors. Again, we don't supply to the tractor segment, as I said earlier, or the commercial vehicle segment, but through customers like Sona, etc., for some critical components or some Sriram systems. So some of the critical components, our steel will be going. But otherwise, we don't supply steel for components for the tractor industry or the commercial vehicle for the domestic market. But for the international market, yes, for the components, we do supply.
Okay.
And the reason for that is very clear. It's that the quality standards of commercial vehicles and tractors in India is very low, and therefore anybody and everybody can compete in those segments, and therefore it's a price war. And then we, being a smaller player, like to stay away from businesses where price is the main determinant.
Okay. Thanks. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Devang Sangvi from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, Devang.
Congrats on a good set of hello, sir. Congrats on a good set of numbers. So my question is regarding this capex we are planning with IG of 150-200 crores. Have we identified any product-specific details in terms of early assessment? Which certain products we are going to invest in?
No, our product line is going to remain the same as what we have today, which is alloy steel bars meant for the automotive sector, which is cars, two-wheelers, trucks, tractors, the same segment. So there's no change in the product segment. However, with IG, so let me tell you what are the areas in which we'll be investing. One is for capacity expansion. Second is safety requirements, because the requirements of Japanese for safety are much higher than what we have internally. Third is for replacement items, because it is anyway part of normal capex. So normal capex is also part of this. For example, some cranes are 30 years old and we're replacing some cranes just now. So that is also part of this. Fourth would be for quality enhancement, for improvement on quality. Some R&D equipment will be required, and maybe some process equipment will be required for improving the quality. And there'll be certain investments which are good in itself for just their own sheer payback.
In addition to substitution in this particular capex?
I couldn't hear you, sorry.
I was asking, in addition to exports, do we also focus on import substitution out here with this particular capex with IG?
Yes, as I said earlier, we will be focusing on import substitution for Maruti, for Hyundai, as well as for Toyota in India.
Okay. And my question is regarding the capex for 9 months. What we have incurred up till now, and what you plan for a balance 3 months for this current year?
In the 9 months, there has been minuscule. But again, Singla, can you answer that question?
Sorry, can you come again?
In 9 months. In 9 months so far, what is the capex? What has been the capex?
In current 9 months, there is a very nominal capex of maybe 1 crore of visa.
Okay. Right, sir. And what is about the repayment schedule we have? Are we planning to pay, because we have good cash flow in current fiscal year?
Yeah, we plan to prepay. We plan to prepay. We already prepaid earlier in this calendar year. I don't remember in this financial year or the previous one. We did prepay some loans.
Last year, Q4, sir.
In February. So in Q4 last year, and in this Q4 also, we'll be prepaying some loans.
Yes.
Any early quantum guidance for the same, sir?
It will be about 15 to 20 crores or something like that.
Okay.
Rough ballpark.
No problem, sir. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask the question. The next question is from the line of Anil Kumar Sharma, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon. First of all, congrats.
Thank you so much.
Sir, I want to know about the main thing is raw material. For raw material front, how much front is going on, and whether the prices of manganese, chrome, and electrodes have risen up to what level, and what is will the impact?
So raw materials are rising across the board. Various raw materials have risen between 10 to 12,000 rupees a ton. Graphite electrodes have risen by about 20-25 rupees a kilo, but we covered that very in advance. Even refractories have gone up, and all the alloying elements have also gone up about 20-25%. Singla, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Sir, it's about 10 to 12%.
10 to 12%. Sorry, my apologies.
Right. So, sir, what will the impact? What do you think this current quarter and in future, how much impact on the our realization?
It is very difficult to say that, because as I said earlier, we in advance bought inventories. We've covered some raw materials. So for us, the price rise also has been not on one day it went up like that. So It has been going up and we've been covering at various price levels. So for us, the impact is not, because if you just add straight 12,000 into 45,000, it's about 45 crore rupees, or it becomes beyond 50 crore rupees if you take the yields into account. But for us, the increase is not going to be that much.
Right.
So
second, next year, sir, how much? I know it is difficult, but next year our the target will be above 12,000 at least, 1,200 crores.
I'm sorry, we don't look at sales targets, but in terms of volume, we will be targeting beyond 160,000 tons.
150,000. Right, sir.
And the sales amount will depend on the price increase that we get in January and then again in April.
Right. So we are negotiating that. You are hopeful that we will get the revised price.
Oh yes, yes. Because very clearly, let me give you something that already happened in the public domain. Mahindra has given, to my understanding, 7,500 rupees increase for flat steel.
All right, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. You are doing wonderful.
That is my understanding. But for our product, they have not yet given. Though we don't deal much with Mahindra, but some of our customers, their orders are linked to Mahindra pricing. So, but the flat steels have risen. Another OEM has also given 7,500 rupees. So 7,500 rupees for flat steels, 2 OEMs have given. For 14 quality steel, the negotiations are going on just now.
All right. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks for your wonderful contribution. I know you are doing extraordinary. Thanks a lot from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anil.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Anupam Gupta from India Infoline. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and congrats for the good set of numbers. Just one query had on the margin guidance you said, and you have upped the margin guidance in the coming quarters. So wanted to bet, strictly what we have seen is whenever raw material prices are on the uptrend, your margins generally don't expand. And you also said that you had basically built up inventories of various raw materials, electrodes, and others as well. So so you said that fourth quarter margin should be below third quarter, but what is basically underpinning the expansion in the margin guidance for you in this scenario?
No, we are not giving an expansion of margin guidance for fourth quarter.
Right.
We are saying for the full year as a whole, our guidance now is 5,000 to 7,000 range, but not for fourth quarter. We are not giving any guidance for fourth quarter except that we will make a net profit, and the fact that volume will be strong. So volume-wise, we are expecting similar to third quarter.
Right.
We don't make an exact prediction. Will it be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, but we are running at full capacity, so it should be very near a third quarter level, a little bit lower or similar,
right.
Similar ballpark.
Right.
And the margins depend on the price increase. So just give an example, if you get full 7,500 rupees price increase, which is what they have given for flat, I'm not saying that's going to happen. But if that happens, then please multiply 45,000 or let's say 40,000 tons into 7,500. So that becomes you one number. That is one extreme. Right. And if you get zero, then we have anyway said we are making a profit. And depending on the increase, whether you get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, the numbers will be in between. So at this point in time, it is very difficult to give any guidance for fourth quarter.
Understand. So let's say if I were to assume that if I were to say that the raw material and the steel price, if steel prices everything remains same here, on a sustainable basis, what is?
No, on a sustainable basis, we are saying that between 5,000 to 7,000 rupees a ton is going to be a EBITDA market.
Okay, so the question basically
we are not saying that third quarter where we got 9,300 is a sustainable number.
Right.
We were lucky, and we are also saying that in a couple of months and in a couple of years, we'll be revising our guidance upwards.
Yeah, right. So couple of years, basically, when IT processes come in, that obviously will aid your margin.
Processes have come in, and some cost savings already started coming because of IT. But business, see, there are 3-4 parts of IT. One is safety areas. A lot of work has already happened on safety. Our accident levels have come down. Two, there is quality improvement. That work has already started, and some improvement is already happening. Third, cost reduction because of process improvement. That work has started. Some gains have already come in, and more gains are coming in every quarter. And then the fourth is productivity and volume. So that is also happening. Then it is analysis of problems, breakdown analysis, and so on, which will reduce our consumption of spare parts as well as improve uptime, and therefore increase in production. And then once the volume really comes in, because once they are satisfied with the quality levels, since their own group companies are consuming, so we don't have to put in a marketing effort. It is Aichi's group companies which will be consuming our steel.
Right.
So marketing effort is not required. Once we reach the quality level that Aichi is satisfied with, then the volume will come.
Right. So that should help, sir. Just one request in that, if you so whatever improvement in metrics you mentioned, if you can highlight that in the presentation, that would let's say some statistics for that would help to build that confidence in terms of how your margins can proceed.
Sure. And the other metrics we are seeing is that on return on capital employed, EBIT on capital employed, first target 16%, then 18%, then 20%. So within the next 5 years, we hope to touch 20% EBIT on capital employed. So every year we'll be improving that metric. Earlier we were not as focused on this metric because we were focusing on volume and profitability per ton. Once we reach full volume, then the focus is shifting to other metrics also. And third metrics we're going to start working on later will be return on net worth. That will be the third metric we start working on 2 years from now.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the explanation, sir. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Vivek Ramakrishnan, DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Given the volatility that you're seeing in like sales last year or in terms of margins this year, how would you view your financial profile, especially borrowings? You have net debt of 250 crores. Would you look to bring that down over a period of time to provide stability in financial profile?
So we are not giving any guidance on debt equity, but we are saying that we will be below 1:1. And two, our rating is AA. And we were at a negative outlook earlier, which has been revised upward by CRISIL to being stable. And we are going to work to retain that rating. So we are not going to allow that rating to slip. Now, within the rating parameters, we will always look at what should be the debt level, what should be the debt equity, what is the growth plan, those cost of debt and all those things we'll see. So we are not having any plans to further reduce debt. However, in the short term, as we keep reducing our net current assets, the debt will fall in the short term.
Okay, sir, fair enough. So
it is not when you our cost of borrowing just now is 4.5% on CP. So it does not make sense to reduce that and increase your component of equity. As long as we maintain a rating. So rating is going to be AA. We don't aspire to be AA plus, and we will not allow it to fall to AA minus. We are very happy at AA rating.
Fair enough, sir. Thank you very much, and good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of Rohit Ohri from Progressive Shares. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good to hear that Soumya has joined the call and you have a vision of ROC 20% for the next 5 years. So I had 2 questions. With this capacity augmentation which might happen in next 5 years or so, and we are targeting 300,000 metric ton, and the Japanese would be focusing on hybrids or maybe the electric vehicles. Do you think that management needs to chalk out a plan for the dividend distribution policy as such?
So Rohit, I think that's a very valid point, and we were waiting for performance to come in. In fact, if you recall, if you've been following the company from a bit earlier, we were expecting maybe not this kind of performance, but a much better performance in 2018-19. We were expecting a record performance in 2018-19. And unfortunately, when the auto market just crashed then, so we were caught absolutely embarrassed that our entire estimates had gone wrong. And then, of course, so 1920 was a washout again because auto markets remained crashed. So we are happy that we have come back to, because when we did our QIP, at that time we had given reasonably rosy performance, and we have finally come to that level. So we are 2 years behind what we had said. But as a risk factor, we've always said that we are linked to the auto industry. If the auto industry does badly, there's no way we can do well at that point in time. However, with the Aichi partnership and Aichi sourcing from us, now we will be relatively insulated from the domestic market vicissitudes in the coming couple of years. Now, as regards dividend, I think it's a very valid question. So once we are reaching these kind of profitability levels, I think dividend distribution should be a point of consideration by the board. And but this is a decision of the board. I can't comment other than the fact that as a management, we are now satisfied that we are at a level that we can start recommending to the board that the board should start considering dividends. But this is not my purview, it's the purview of the board.
That's good. Good to hear some positive light over there. So one request as to what would be the promoter shareholding, because this was not updated to the exchanges. So I just was wondering what is the promoter shareholding for the quarter?
It will be roughly 57 or
59 point something, sir.
59. Okay.
It was 59.34 last quarter. And there has been some nibbling by the promoter.
That's minuscule. But I'm buying in my personal account. So we are one of the few companies where promoters may not have too much of money. The companies have a lot of money.
Okay.
So I'm buying on my personal account, and so small quantities only I've been buying.
Okay, so that helps a lot. Sir, last question. With this vision and target of the exports, which are currently around 3%, in next 5 years, is it quite ambitious to say that you will try to reach 20% exports after the expansion happens and Aichi and everything falls in good for us with the auto segment?
No, so it is not ambitious. In fact, it's on the other hand, the requirement is much more than this. So the biggest problem that Aichi has is we don't have enough capacity.
Correct.
So you see, the critical part was for them was to find a partner in India, which they found in us. The second part was to find whether they could trust the partner. One is trusting in discussions, which they had. Obviously, that's why they came in. The second was seeing the working of the company after coming in and seeing whether they trust the company, that they are having confidence in that. The third part was developing the production capabilities and smooth working in production, which has been achieved. The fourth part is getting the safety, or that comes earlier, getting safety in line. So safety has improved. The next part is getting quality. Once quality levels come, the demand from them is way higher than what we can produce.
Okay,
so which is why 50 to 70,000 tons that we're talking about is not ambitious. It is bare minimum.
Okay. So will the Japanese psychology...
Sorry, if I may add to that. If Aichi was not our partner, then yes, your point is very right. From 3% to 20% is crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with the mindset of the Japanese, will they be first looking at capability building, or will they be first looking at capacity building?
So all that we've been doing since last year is this capability building.
Okay.
Yeah. So that comes first because they like smooth working.
Correct.
They like smooth working. What is the plan and what have you achieved? And there any deviations, people have to answer a lot. Any accident that happens, near miss, there's a lot of discussion on near miss. That nothing happened. The accident could have happened. There's huge discussion on that. a small scratch happens on somebody's finger, that discussion happens a lot. So all that part is part of the detailed working.
Okay.
And our people are learning a lot with the Japanese.
Yeah, I saw your videos and I saw the work that was done during the pandemic. So it's commendable. Thank you for answering the question. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The next question is from the line of S. Mitra, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. My question is that just want to understand your dynamics, raw material dynamics. Like we use both imported scrap and DRI. So the mix, can you disclose the mix between these two?
So we use DRI, we use imported scrap, we use a lot of domestic scrap also, local scrap.
Okay.
And we don't share our mix.
Okay, so let me just frame it in a different way. Like in way back in 2012, when it was compulsory to share, the imported component of raw material was around 35%, and domestic was roughly 65%.
Yeah.
So, so is it around the same level?
No, imported component has come down. We are relying far more on domestic local scrap, which is why it gives us more stability in terms of. The quality is better, and two, we are getting daily raw material coming in, where we can work with lower inventory. And three, at times the cost, I think the cost is also lower using local scrap.
Okay. So with this Aichi thing, can we do some more improvement on this raw material mix? Can we expect something on that front?
See, they work in a holistic, comprehensive manner. So their improvement happens on all aspects.
Okay.
So it's not there will be improvement only in this area. They work comprehensively. I mean, I have always been an admirer of the Japanese, but this time, and Vardhman Group have been working closely with the Japanese since decades. But this time, the personal experience I'm getting of directly handling them and myself has been phenomenal. I mean, my respect and regard for them as a country and as people has gone up several notches after my own personal relationship with them in this plant.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you and congratulations.
And let me add one more thing. It is difficult to work with the Japanese. They are not easy to work with. So if you have the skill to work with them, it's a huge competitive advantage.
Okay. Best of luck, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A reminder to all the participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. Next question is from Aniket, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Aniket, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations for the good set of numbers, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Yeah. My first question is actually, as I can see, the interest cost is lower.
Yeah.
So, can you throw some light on it?
The interest cost is lower as our borrowings keep coming down, and the cost of borrowing is also dropped as interest rates have fallen in the market. So interest cost is lower. And last year we had a huge inventory build-up because we had a shutdown. So interest cost was higher on working capital account because of shutdown also.
Okay. My second question is, sir, where do we see our
sorry, just Singla, you want to add anything to this?
No, you are right, sir. Nothing to add.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, where do you see our EBITDA per ton ending by this year?
We don't make that forecast. As I said, fourth quarter we have no idea of making a forecast just now.
Okay.
So, the profit will be in the range of 0 to 45 crores.
Okay. So,
sorry, 0 to 30 crores, 35 crores. That's the range. 0 to 35 crores.
Okay.
It's at PBT level, sir.
At PBT level, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Can you throw some light on the current working capital cycle and how are our inventory, debtors, and the creditor days trending?
So Inventory finished goods is normally about 20 to 25 days. Normally, it'll go up a bit because we have again a shutdown coming. We have billet inventory in the middle, which is required for our rolling mill. Then you have raw material inventory. The raw material inventory is again about 15 to 20 days. 20 days, okay. Akshay?
Yeah, it ranges between 15 to 20 days.
Yeah, and outstanding varies is normally around 60 days.
Yeah, around 60 days, yes, sir.
Yeah, it'll vary because some customers are longer credit terms, some customers are shorter, and it varies in between that period.
Okay.
Approximately that.
Okay. And suppose once export kicks in, how do we see the working capital cycle moving?
We haven't made that forecast just now, but we expect working capital to be much tighter managed than what has been in the past.
Okay. So last question.
Yeah.
Have you done any traveling and consequent meetings with IT support to develop our clientele in other regions?
No. Because of COVID, no travel has happened.
Okay, sir. This is from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to Mr. Sachit Jain for closing remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much again for being with us on this call. Your support and confidence gives us a lot of encouragement. And we are sorry that we are 2 years behind in our performance, but finally we are getting there. And with Aichi's partnership, we expect the medium-term future is going to be very strong. And the short-term future on our own stream, we should be doing okay. And beyond that, the partnership is going to make us much stronger. Having the world number one in your business as your partner gives tremendous strength. And not only being the world number one, the kind of people they are, the kind of openness, the kind of understanding we have, I'm very satisfied for the future. And we are looking for better financial performance from our accounts also to see that once all the foundations are in place, ultimately the business has to generate good returns, good free cash flows, and as some of you raised the question, eventually rewards for the shareholders and dividends. All that should come in to make a holistic company which serves all stakeholders. Thank you very much and hope to see you again at the end of the financial year. Thank you.
Sir, you can also share about one-time incentive.
Oh yes. Okay. Yes. So sorry. Thank you, Singla, for reminding me. In the third quarter results, our personnel costs are higher than normal because we gave a large one-time incentive to employees across the board because of the way they valiantly fought COVID and the way they were able to ramp up the production capacities and meet the requirement. Many companies faltered in the supply chain when the demand came up because our team did not worry about COVID. They worked hard, so we gave a one-time reward. We've also declared increments for the year. So as a steel company, I don't know how many other companies have given increments, and this one-time reward, of course, has been given to employees across the board, including contracted workers also. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. On behalf of IIFL Capital Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.